Death did not take the magistrate kindly. He died in his sleep, not screaming, not bleeding, not sorry. Some said that was a shame. Others said it was mercy. No one attended his funeral. His name was Albrecht Grunwald. He collected taxes like they were teeth, and if the townspeople had less than he wanted, well, he took something else instead. Then the animals began dying, one by one. Sheep, goats, chickens, torn open, throats missing. Wolf, they said. Wolves have returned. The winter was hard, the forests deep. The signs were obvious. But then it wasn't sheep anymore. It was people. A farm girl found with her chest ripped open. A cobbler's son missing. A hunter, supposedly armed and strong, discovered face down in the snow, his neck a red ribbon. The wolf, they whispered, was not just hungry, it was angry. One old woman, who remembered things no one asked her to remember, muttered, "Magistrate Grunwald said he'd come back if he died with hate in his heart." People laughed at first, then stopped, because the killings didn't stop. And the worst of it, no ordinary wolf could be tracked. But this one, it left footprints, like it wanted to be followed. And so they followed. One moonless night, pitchforks in hand, fire on sticks, rocks in fists. They chased it across fields, down into the hollow, to the old stone well, forgotten, haunted, deep. It tried to hide inside, but the villagers didn't wait. They beat it with rocks, they stabbed it with metal and wood. The wolf's eyes watched them while it died. It did not scream. It did not turn into a man. But that wasn't enough. They dressed it in a shirt, stuffed its feet into boots, tied a wig of hay to its head and glued a beard to its snout. They called it Albrecht, and dragged the corpse through the village streets. Children watched. Mothers hid their faces. The priest said nothing. They hung it in the square. A wolf in human clothes. A man in legend. A town in denial. The body rotted for 3 days. On the 4th, it disappeared. No one saw who took it. After that, no more deaths, no more wolves. But on cold nights, when firelight is thin and the shadows are longer than they should be, the people of Grefenfell still glance towards the old well. They listen for footsteps, and they remember a truth they will never speak out loud. Sometimes a man dies, and sometimes something worse comes back. The sun was high, and the trees heavy with fruit. A brother and sister, Jean and Elise, picked apples together, quiet, careful, as if the fruit was a secret they shared with the earth. But the bushes were not empty. Something moved there, waiting. A wolf, or something like one, watched from the shadows. It waited for the right moment. When Elise reached for a ripe apple, the wolf pounced. Jean didn't hesitate. He pulled his knife and stood between the wolf and his sister, but the beast was faster. It charged. The blade found his neck. Blood stained his shirt. the wolf vanished into the trees. Villagers heard the screams and rushed out. They chased the wolf, throwing rocks and swinging pitchforks. They struck it hard, but the wolf escaped, limping into the night. Jean and Elise didn't survive. The wounds were too deep, too cruel. Before Jean died, he whispered something strange. The wolf, it had hands like a man, covered in fur, and his eyes, they weren't just eyes. Not long after, a local woman named Madeline was found with a wound in the exact same place the wolf had been hurt. One villager, a man who despised Madeline's family, accused them of witchcraft. They were arrested, all of them. At night, guards swore they heard barks coming from the cells, and they saw shadows crawling on all fours, bodies scratched and torn, moving like beasts, barking like wolves. Terrified, the family confessed to killing Jean and Elise, though no one believed them. The ruthless man of the law, who boasted he had killed over 600 wolves in his lifetime, declared justice was done. But the truth, some things hide beneath fur and skin, and some curses walk on 2 legs, or 4. In Montclair, on cold nights, the wind still carries whispers of the wolf that was never fully caught. Every village has someone people cross the street to avoid. In ours, his name was Klaus Brandt. He wasn't always evil, not in the storybook way. No sharp fangs, no glowing red eyes, just a bitter man who knew how to smile when he wanted something, and scowl when he didn't get it. Then one day, Klaus said something that made people stop laughing at him. He said he had made a pact with the devil. Said he could turn into a wolf whenever he pleased. Soon after that, strange things started to happen. People went missing. First a hunter, then a merchant's wife, then a boy not more than 10. When the bodies were found, the few that were, they were torn apart. Some were missing their hearts. One man's head was empty inside. Wolves, they said, but not like any they'd ever seen before. And quietly behind closed doors, people began to whisper Klaus's name. One night, when the fear grew too large to hold, the village rose up. Pitchforks, dogs, torches. They followed the trail deep into the woods. That's where they found him. Not Klaus, not exactly. A wolf. Big, grey, eyes too knowing, watching them. The dogs lunged, and just as they reached it, the creature changed. Fur pulled back into skin, claws softened into fingers, and there stood Klaus, bare, bloodied, grinning. The villagers couldn't move. Some dropped their torches, others began to pray. The trial didn't take long. Klaus confessed to everything. Said the devil came to him in the shape of a black dog, offered power, and he accepted. Said the hunger was never truly his, it was something he let in. The judge, not known for his iron will, sentenced Klaus to death, but not quickly. He was tortured. He was beheaded, and his remains were burned at the stake to cleanse whatever darkness was left behind. The crowd stayed silent. There was no cheering, just the hiss of flames and the sound of people refusing to look each other in the eye. They said the ashes were carried by the wind to the four corners of the earth. On quiet nights, when the sky is clear and the forest breathes too deeply, some still hear claws on the stone paths. Some see yellow eyes in the dark. Because sometimes evil doesn't need a mask, it just needs a name. And in our village, that name was Klaus.